To understand neuroplasticity is to understand our bodies as a whole. I'd like to think of our brains as somewhat of a muscle. Obviously, we can't grow our brain to be bigger or larger, to be stronger. It's not like a bicep. However, our brains do grow in somewhat of a density through connections in our brain. Now, these neuron connections, which are essentially just bridges of information passed through our brains, we can develop new connections even if they've been lost through tissue death from a stroke. So if our brains lose an ability to do something or never even necessarily had the ability to do something, we need to challenge our brains through these types of functional activities that closely emulate what we want to do. So if you want to do a cartwheel, you want to kind of simulate certain parts of the task until our brains develop that concept of how to do it through repetition, through challenging aspects of the task. If it's too easy, our brains can't really develop a sense of how to do it. It's kind of like a muscle in that sense. If you just do an exercise that's very easy for the muscle to do, it's not really going to grow. We need high intensity activity with the brain, just like we do with the muscle, to develop that sense of neuroplasticity, developing these new alternative connections in the brain that may have been once had and lost through a stroke or some type of accident in the brain. Now, we need to integrate complex activities that closely emulate what we want to do. So if we're having an issue walking because our leg has an issue understanding how to move a certain way for walking, we're not going to just be doing straight leg raises or, weighted leg raises just to improve the strength of our leg. We need to emulate that activity so our brain develops that connection through repetition, through being challenged as well. And that way we can place stress on our neuronic system and develop new connections and a new way for our brains to understand how to do it. And over time, I just like to think of plastic as something hard and durable. We develop that connection and it stays there as long as we use it. If you don't use it, you lose it, just like muscles.